Hey guys, I'm back. Okay, so this is part 2 of the series on taking breaks on HCG, just deciding overall how long your HCG diet journey will end up taking you. In the first video, I talked about just the basic rules on how long you're technically supposed to wait between each round of HCG. So we talked about that. But we had 2 questions that came up. The first one is there ever a time that doing either longer rounds of HCG, more than 40 injections, which is usually the max allowed, is there ever a time when doing it longer without stopping would be okay, and or taking shorter breaks than are technically allowed? Does it ever work out well to do that? And the second question was, is it actually advantageous to wait longer than usual, take longer breaks from HCG? Does that ever work out well? Why? I know a lot of you wouldn't really want to do that, but I do have just some food for thought when it comes to that, that I encourage you guys to listen to. So let's start with answering the first question in this video. This is the freight train method for doing the HCG diet. Just, kind of hammering through it. There's really 2 parts to this, like I said in the question. There's the idea of doing longer than usual rounds, and there's the idea of taking very short breaks between rounds. So before I give you the successful examples, I want to say something first. Please keep in mind that I don't really suggest this as the best way to go for the vast majority of us, and that includes myself. I don't want you guys to watch this video and then be like, yeah, HCGChica said, go ahead, do long rounds, do short breaks, because that's really not what I'm advocating. I don't really advocate one thing over another. What I'm trying to do is help us to all be honest with ourselves, because only you are going to know what category that you fit into, So it's like you have to make that decision for yourself. And like I'm going to give you these examples. In this case, these women, they did very well either having an extended round or doing a shorter break. And it worked well for them. But I don't feel that for a lot of us, we're going to be in the right place to do that. And that can actually cause problems. So I just want to make sure I preface it by saying that. So let me go ahead and give you the few examples of people who've done this. My first example was actually my interview with Donna. She lost 127 pounds with HCG, and our interview, I will link to the actual interview in the blog post. And she did this. She actually took breaks as short as 3 weeks before starting another round. And she also went as long as 62 days on phase 2, the part where you're on HCG. So she did some pretty long, because 62 days, that's over 2 months. So a little over 2 months on the HCG diet itself. And then she took breaks as short as 3 weeks in order to get to her goal. Now, like I said, plenty of people have done this sort of thing and not been successful in the end. Donna, she was successful, and not only because she got to her goal and lost 127 pounds, but she also has kept it off for a full year. At the time of our interview, she had actually been maintaining her weight loss for a full year, and that was already a few months ago now. So for her, it's obvious. There's no questioning the results that she got from that were excellent. So the question is, why did that work for her? One of the things was that she was highly motivated, but more importantly, she says she had already addressed all of the deep-seated emotional issues that she had to deal with in years past. So many of us have these deep-seated emotional issues that somehow food becomes a part of that picture and weight becomes a part of that picture. And for many of us, we haven't addressed that at the time that we start HCG. But for Donna, she had had some other things happen to her earlier in her life, and it forced her to deal with those things. So for her, as she was going through this journey of weight loss, it's not that it necessarily was just completely easy, because certainly it wasn't. The diet is always going to be a challenge, but she didn't have as much, junk come up throughout her journey because of the fact that she had already processed that junk earlier in her life. So that made it a little easier for her to get through the process. So that was a really important factor to her being able to kind of fast track her journey. Now, the last thing she stated was that for me, as long as I didn't feel depleted, usually due to my health things and fatigue, and my head was in it, I kept going. So again, she also was trying to pay attention to her body and be aware if her body started to feel compromised, that it would be time to stop or take a break, things like that. But she said she was feeling okay, and so that's why she chose to do, longer rounds or shorter breaks. So for her, that worked well. Okay, a second example of an HCGer who did very well with this kind of fast-tracked journey gave me her feedback. She said she was highly motivated, which is completely necessary in order to do this. And she lost over 100 pounds in just 8 months. And she did 4 rounds of HCG during that time. She took mostly 3-week breaks, and she did VLCDs up to 60 days long. So again, kind of similar to Donna, 60-day rounds, 3-week breaks, pretty short. She also says she was on the higher 700 to 800 calorie protocol, and she was doing homeopathic HCG. She told me that was 2 years ago, and that she's been able to maintain her weight loss with a P3/P4 eating lifestyle. That's kind of like a modified phase 3, where you tend to stick to lower carb, but you still do include some other things from time to time. So for her, that worked well, and she was able to do that. I mean, can you imagine that? 100 pounds in just 8 months for a woman. And remember, she wasn't on HCG for that whole time. So that's pretty amazing. The third example is actually another YouTuber that many of you actually may already be familiar with, but if not, I'm going to link to her YouTube channel in the blog post. Her name is Happy Conscious Gal on YouTube. And she says, I did 63 VLCD days in my first round, and that worked brilliantly for me. But I was being tested by my weight loss clinic the entire time. And I was also in a peak state of health before I started, as I had done a long cleanse and was highly mineralized and full of nutrients after a year of eating raw. And in fact, she's actually since written 3 books about doing the HCG protocol successfully. So I will link to the page where you can get the information on that in the blog post. So she also did a longer round, but for her, like she said, she was being monitored, and she was also in a really good state of health when she started it. So the question is then, how many of us start the HCG diet in a peak state of health, or how many of us start the HCG diet having no type of emotional issues when it comes to food or our weight? Those are good questions for us to ask ourselves because I didn't fit into either of those categories when I started the diet. Neither of them. And my feeling is that many others don't fit into this category either. The examples that I gave you are not the norm, meaning there are not hundreds of people that you can find online who have done HCG in this way and been successful. In fact, I've seen people doing the HCG this way too much, too fast, and then having the outcome be the exact opposite of what people want. And we're going to talk about that in the next video, why that happens, why does that happen. But I hope that, you guys will temper these success stories with a true, honest look at yourselves, which is what the next video will help you do as well, so that you can kind of decide which boat you fit into. So as far as whether or not it's possible to do longer rounds or shorter breaks and have the long-term outcome be good, yes, certainly it's possible. Even though I favor longer breaks and I favor maybe doing things a little slower sometimes just because of how my own body works, they are shining examples that you can do that and you can maintain the weight loss from that. Some people like to insist that unless you do the protocol exactly word for word as Dr. Simmons wrote, you won't achieve long-term success in the sense of, you're going to have trouble maintaining the weight loss, or you won't reset your metabolism and stuff like that. I no longer believe that, just because there's too many people, including myself, that are living proof that that's not true. It's been actually over 11 months now since my last round. I'm 123 pounds this morning. I've been maintaining my healthy weight range for almost a year. My last round was actually fairly off protocol. Again, I did it strategically though. I didn't just randomly add in stuff, but it was definitely not word for word based on the protocol. And you know, obviously I've been maintaining a pretty good body fat percent for a woman, and you know, and I don't have to count my calories or eat like a bird to maintain it. So obviously the protocol did what it was supposed to do, even though I made alterations. So certainly there may be some of you out there who can carry out your weight loss journey in this way, whether it's a longer round or shorter breaks, and be able to get to your goal a little sooner. It is pretty amazing when you think about it, you know, being able to lose 100 pounds in 8 months, or Donna, her 127 pounds. It's pretty striking, and it's probably really rewarding to get such a good chunk off all at once before you have a break, you know. Probably it's like once you get into that mindset, like more than one of them said that they were highly motivated. If you are really like, you know, in the zone for several months, I can see where it's like, yeah, let's do this thing. You know, I'm in the zone, I'm totally focused, and it's a good time in my life, and you're just continually doing it right. Hey, you know, why not in that case? So anyway, I hope you found that helpful, but I really, really hope that you will watch the next video, part 3. Please, please watch it. Because like I said, I think that the vast majority of us are gonna be in this other boat where we need to kind of consider some different factors that may make it a good idea to take longer breaks to keep our round of reasonable length, and we'll talk about it soon. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Myself, oh my goodness, this is like the most distracted recording day ever. It's like every time a person walks by and then a really loud airplane goes by, oh, I'm gonna be out here forever. Doesn't the whole world know that I am recording an HCG video right now? I mean, they could at least have the courtesy to not fly overhead or ride their bike, right?